All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the program. Our first guest here on the show tonight is a wonderful person. She does the podcast here at the Canyons, at the CSD district, and she will talk to us a little bit about her life in broadcast and what she has covered throughout the years. Ladies and gentlemen, Frances Cooke. Frances, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I feel fine.
Just fine?
Well, honestly, I don't know. Doesn't it feel like a weird winter to you?
It is a bit odd, yes. We've had quite the roller coaster, you're right.
Yeah, I've looked at the forecast last night. They said we were going to be in the 50s all week.
Yeah, might as well be April, right?
Might as well. So, anyway, what do you do here for the district?
So I am a communications specialist,
Right.
which means I do a number of things. I help with some of the articles that you see posted up on the websites, on the school website, on the district website. I handle a lot of our social media posts. If there's an email that comes into the district to our communications team about questions about schools, about how to enroll, anything along those lines, I help answer and facilitate those questions. And I also assist with the Connect Canyons podcast.
All right. Speaking of the podcast, how long have you guys been doing that now?
So the podcast has been rolling for about 5 years now.
5 years.
I've only been here for about 4 months and helping out intermittently since then, but it's off to a good start.
Right. And have you ever thought that, instead of it being a podcast, it would be more like, a show like this where we invite people
Sure.
and we talk to them about different things?
So sometimes we do that. It kind of depends on what we're talking about, right? If it's appropriate to have video or if it's, something that's going to be a bit more visual or something that maybe video doesn't necessarily work. So some of our podcasts are straight audio and others will bring in a video element and we'll have multiple cameras set up and kind of have a nice talk show.
Yeah. I've also seen, I've seen one where you guys were talking about, what was it, bullying?
Yes, we try and cover, some of those tougher topics like bullying or anxiety or, how to talk with your kids about that, or if students are struggling, what they can do in order to, find a good headspace to be in and things. So we try and cover a variety of topics.
Yeah. Here on the show, we've also talked a little bit about suicide prevention and how we can lower down those higher rate numbers of kids who need help and sadly go through that.
I think talking about it is key.
Yes.
Trying to be open about it, letting people know that you're there for them, using the Safe UT app. There's a lot of things we can do to help each other out.
Right.
Wimmer, you have Mike Hedrick, Shara Park. We actually just did a podcast with Shara. She has students who attend here at the Canyons District. So it was, I met a lot of good people, people that will probably stay in my life for a good long time that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet otherwise.
That's pretty good. Do you remember an important story that you had to work on and break out?
Sure. I was a producer for 6 years. I worked at the assignment desk for 4 years. The assignment desk is where we listen to the police scanners. We get phone call tips. Places like Canyons would send in, say, a press release and say, hey, we have this going on, and the assignment desk would then disseminate that information throughout the newsroom. Oh. So I was at the assignment desk when the Susan Powell case began. She was the West Jordan woman who disappeared and hasn't been found in a number of years. I've covered a number of presidential elections. One of the biggest local stories most recently was the 2020 Magna earthquake, right? That 5.7. I think most everybody was asleep.
I was at the time I was asleep, and then my mother came in, and then she started yelling at me, and I thought it was her normal day of telling me to get up and
get to school.
But no, I think school got out like 2 days before that happened.
For the pandemic, sure. Yeah, we had just started to. News you can't work from home really in news, right? So we also had to come to the office. We were trying to social distance things, and we just wrapped up our morning show. and the earthquake happened, and it actually knocked us off the air. Our backup generators did not come back on like they were supposed to. So all we wound up evacuating the building because it was an older style building. It didn't have some of the newer earthquake updates. Take that out for me, Justin. I don't know that they want that advertised. It was an older building, so just out of an abundance of caution, we evacuated to a nearby parking lot at the Devereaux Mansion, and we wound up pulling in the equivalent of a satellite truck that we were able to broadcast our TV signal from. So we had 4 of our anchors standing in the cold, borrowing jackets from people, and we were on our phones. I called the governor. He had just been voted into office, and I called him up on his cell. And
you had the governor's phone?
I did. I happened. I mean,
holy crackers!
In news, you have a lot of contacts. You have to carefully safeguard them.
All right.
But we called all of the officials that we could to find out how they were responding, and would just shout that information out to our anchors. Normally we have, the IFB system where you have an earpiece in your ear and someone can talk to you from off stage. We couldn't do that. None of that was working. And so it was about 6 hours straight on air, no video, until we could get back into the booth. And KSL actually, we won an Emmy for that.
Wow. You all had to improvise sort of what was going on around the whole city as it was happening.
Yeah, we had reporters calling in. I mean, it was about 7 o'clock in the morning or so.
Yeah,
and so, if a reporter was supposed to be working later that day or that evening, they were still at home. They were calling in and telling us what it was like in their cities. And so we would honestly we had to text our anchors. Our anchors are standing 10 feet from us, but, you can't be shouting over them, right? So we're texting our anchors information. They were just on, Facebook, on what was then Twitter, and just all kinds of social media, trying to get information from the airport, from local police departments, and just ad-libbing and rolling with it.
Just going on with the thing as it was going on. Yeah. I remember when it happened, we turned on the news, and we went on to KSL 5. The whole thing was a whole mess that it kept cutting to like a black screen.
Yeah.
For like, it was, I think it was like an hour, something like that.
Yeah, so that was right when the earthquake hit. As I mentioned, it knocked us off air, which it's not supposed to do that, right? We have backup generators in place, and for whatever reason, they didn't kick on. It's quite the process.
Quite a story of that.
Yeah.
There was also the aftershocks. Those were also very timid, especially when you're doing a live broadcast.
Yeah.
Those aftershocks, it just shook up everything. Do you remember
I
having
do.
to experience that?
Mm-hmm. There was a little bit both in the building and out, so while we were still stuck outside, we could experience them, and the anchors were on air and saying, we're feeling another aftershock right now. And we were able to, the University of Utah has a seismology website that you can go to that'll show you the magnitude as you're going through, and so they were able to look that up while they were there. And we still experienced them long after we got back into the building, after we went home that day. I remember going home, I'd been at the station since about 10 o'clock the night before. I think I got home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon that next day, finally, and still getting some pretty serious aftershocks. So I have lived here most of my life. Utah's not exactly known for, earthquakes the way maybe California is familiar with them. So it was quite the experience. I can say I don't want to do that again.
Okay. Yeah, we don't. That's quite a story.
Yeah.
I never really thought I would interview someone with a story like that. Knowing that you've been at the station now all night and then had to cover that all through the morning, and then just go home and be like, well, that happened.
Yep. Got time to move on. No, it's kind of what you sign up for, right? The saying is that news never sleeps. So sometimes you have long days like that. Other days can be great. They can be fun. KSL does a give-a-thon where they partner with Primary Children's Hospital, and they raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for kids who need medical attention. And it's an all-day event, and we have the families of kids who have been treated at Primary Children's and are getting better. We have them come in and chat with us, and it's just such a heartwarming day. So like any job, it has its ups and downs, and you just gotta put on your seatbelt and ride along with it.
All right. And I thank you once again for coming here and sharing that heartfelt story.
Thank you for having me.
I never met a person who would have to go through that and then say, well, here we go. Here's my story. This is what happened, and
That's life. You just gotta roll with it and keep rising up, right?
All right. Well, thanks for being here, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Francis Cooke. We'll be right back. All right, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program here, and boy, that was nice talking to Francis Cooke about her life in broadcasting, and really meeting a bunch of interesting people who go through such interesting things in life and all that stuff. I'd like to thank her for coming here on the program, and I'd like to thank you folks for coming here and watching us do this little show. And be sure to stay tuned for their podcast coming this upcoming Wednesday. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.